2019 marks the end of PlayStation Vita's physical cartridge support in the North American and PAL regions, and with SIE Japan Asia recently announcing that the manufacturing of the product has ceased with the final batches being shipped to participating retailers, this means that the PlayStation Vita is officially on the way out as Sony Interactive Entertainment marches onward into the future with the PS4, PS4 Pro, and PlayStation VR leading the way to the upcoming PlayStation 5. So with 2019 likely being its final year on the market before SIE closes the chapter on this legacy handheld, here are 5 reasons to own a PlayStation Vita, not just in the year 2019, but beyond. Number 5 is portability. Let's get this out of the way immediately. While PS Vita may be 7 years old at this point, one thing it has going for it is in its sheer size and form factor. In an era where smartphones are getting bigger and bigger and the Switch is practically the size of a penny board, the PS Vita retains a small form factor that easily fits in the average person's pocket. If you end up buying a PCH 2000 series PS Vita Slim, its usage of the micro USB Type-B connector makes taking it out and about far less of a hassle, since the majority of Android phones and other consumer electronics out there on the market utilize this standardized cable. I wouldn't be surprised if you had half a dozen of these things laying around throughout your house or in your car. And with that being said, keeping it charged becomes far less of an issue. Plus, since it's so small compared to smartphones and the Switch, taking it with you is far more convenient, and keeping it in your pocket is something that's actually doable, thus making it portable. Number 4 is cross-functionality. If you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber and you've downloaded a lot of games that Sony has offered across the PS3 and PS4 systems, chances are you've got a hefty backlog of titles that are cross-buy compatible with the PlayStation Vita system already. What this means is that if you got a PS3 or PS4 game via PlayStation Plus, the cross-buy initiative meant that you probably got the PS Vita version as well. 2 games in one. Thus making it easy to take your PS3 or PS4 save files and move them to your Vita and back as many times as you want on a whim. Of course, to utilize things like the cross-buy, cross-save, and cross-play initiatives, a PS Vita and PS3, PS4 version of the game needs to exist. But it was and still is utilized across many PS3 and PS4 titles. It's only a shame that the PS Vita never took off, because it would have allowed for even more games to utilize this feature across Sony's 2 generations of home consoles, thus blurring the lines between home consoles and portables. Number 3 is remote play with PS4 and PS4 Pro. This is one that a lot of YouTubers talk about, and is one that I talk about as well, and for good reason. It's very useful. Remote play allows you to tether any PS Vita system to any PS4 or PS4 Pro system, and stream PS4 games to the PS Vita no matter where you are in the world. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Although some developers have taken initiative to remap the buttons to work far more seamlessly on PS Vita, due to it lacking certain types of buttons, that isn't always the case. But you can either remap the buttons using in-game software, or buy an accessory for your PS Vita 1000 or 2000 series that essentially gives the system L2, L3, R2, and R3 buttons. It is recommended, based on my own personal anecdotal experiences, that for the best and most consistent results when using the remote play application, that you hardwire your PS4 system via LAN cable to your Wi-Fi router, as it drastically improves the remote play experience both at home and out and about. Of course, this isn't necessary or required, but once again, based on my own anecdotal experience, I have never had a connection fail or drop out when my PS4 Pro was hardwired to my Wi-Fi router via LAN cable. On the flip side, I have had inconsistent results when my PS4 was wirelessly connected to my home Wi-Fi network and I was out and about trying to use the PS Vita remote play application. Number 2 is games. PS1, PSP, PS Vita, and PS4. Of course, regardless of any handheld or game console, games are always the most important factor when deciding. Software moves hardware. That has always been the case and always will. PS Vita has no shortage of great games hidden away in its native library of over 1,400 titles. Like any system ever made, it has its fair share of gems and duds. For many, the PS Vita is an RPG, JRPG powerhouse, and considering Japan has been the backbone of support, it should come to no surprise as to why this is the case. Now, RPGs and JRPGs aren't the only games that the PS Vita has, but they are responsible for a sizable amount of the system's overall native library. However, you can still find platformers, shooters, racing games, and no shortage of indie titles, with the latter being the largest supporter of the PS Vita system outside of Japan since late 2015. What makes PS Vita so special among other handhelds is its versatility within the PlayStation ecosystem. PS Vita isn't strictly limited to its own library of games. The system is natively backwards compatible with PS1 classics as well as PSP titles that can be obtained via PlayStation Network and the PlayStation Store, or by other means that we'll discuss later. Not to mention the previously aforementioned remote play functionality with PS4 and PS4 Pro. Regardless of how you choose to play games or what types of games you like to play, there are plenty of them to enjoy on the PS Vita. You just simply have to look through the system's library to see if there are any titles that speak out to you as an individual player. And now, finally, the biggest reason to own a PS Vita in 2019 and beyond. If all the previous reasons I have listed have failed at convincing you, perhaps this one just might do it. Number 1. Custom firmware and homebrew, H-encore, H-encore, and more. So you've probably heard by now that the PS Vita's security has been blown completely out of the water thanks to the homebrew community, and the possibilities for the system are now virtually endless. With the help of custom firmware like H-encore, if I'm pronouncing that right, and H-encore, you can now run backups of your favorite PS Vita, PSP, and PS1 titles, and install custom emulators to run even more backups of your favorite retro classic titles, like ones from SNES, Sega Genesis, Sega CD, and more. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Thanks to the help of these custom pieces of firmware, software, and hardware, PS Vita buyers can now use standard micro SDXC cards in any size that they want in their PS Vita system, with the help of an adapter that goes into the cartridge slot or a daughter board that replaces the 3G module in the original PS Vita 1000 3G Wi-Fi models, as opposed to using the original proprietary overly priced cards that killed the system to begin with. While many people have used the PSP for similar reasons and continue to do so to this day because it's a great emulation machine, the PS Vita can now do all of these things too, albeit far much better. And it's worth mentioning that the PS Vita's screen quality is far superior to any of the ones made on the PSP series. So, if you're looking for the ultimate portable gaming and emulation device, look no further than a jailbroken PlayStation Vita system.
PlayStation Vita